United States Grand Jury, District of Maine, in respect to John Dickinson, John Kavanaugh. Testimony of Michael Cunniff, given before the United States Grand Jury, District of Maine, at the United States District Courthouse, Bangor, Maine, on April 9, 1986. Appearances: J. McCloskey, Esquire, Rose Marie Chimatuck, Grand Jury Reporter. Mr. McCloskey read the indictment to the grand jurors. Michael Cunniff, called and duly sworn before the grand jury by the foreman, upon his oath, was examined and testified as follows. Examination by Mr. McCloskey. Agent Cunniff, how are you employed? I'm Special Agent with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. And how long have you been a special agent? About 14 years. And your duties include investigation of a smuggling in marijuana? Yes, I'm assigned to the Maine State Police DEA Smuggling Task Force. In connection with your job, have you had the opportunity to investigate the importation of marijuana into Walboro in Dutch Neck in 1981 of hashish, Yes. And in connection with that, have you had an occasion to talk to a Thomas Kavanaugh? Yes, I have. And are you familiar with his participation in this particular incident? Yes. Would you just characterize what his role was? His role was essentially a manager or a broker putting together people who were importing the hashish with a boat in offloading site in Maine. Once that was accomplished, the importers, and the offloaders handled many of the arrangements for the actual importation of the hashish themselves, and in return, Kavanaugh received a fee. You had occasion to debrief him yourself, correct? Yes, sir, I have. Now, does he have a plea agreement with the government? Yes, he does. What is the substance of that agreement, if you know? Essentially, he has agreed to plea to a felony that would provide and the agreement provides for a 5-year cap. At the end of the debriefing, he was aware that he would be pleading to the felony involving the investigation, which you just mentioned, and that he would be subject to a 5-year maximum prison term. Now, could you just summarize the role of John Dickinson, also known as John the Panther, in this particular case? Yes. John Dickinson, whose nickname is the Panther, was the person, according to Kavanaugh, who was responsible for importing the hashish from outside the United States into Maine, and then arranging the distribution of the hashish once it was imported. Now, have you had occasion to interview and debrief Timothy Grigg in connection with this investigation? Yes. Did he tell you about the activities of John Dickinson and Thomas Kavanaugh? Yes, he did. And essentially, did he confirm what you've said about this role? Yes, he did. And have you had an occasion to interview Robert Kenny? Yes. In connection with this investigation? Yes. And what, if anything, did he advise you with regard to his meeting with John Dickinson? Actually, he was interviewed by some other officers in our task force. I have discussed the case with him, and I'm familiar with the report of interview. Okay. He essentially agreed that Timothy Grigg contacted him and made arrangements for the offloading of the hashish in Walboro in 1981, and in the course of the importation arrangements, the agreement for a money fee was reached, and following the importation, Kenny and had several conversations with Dickinson's people, Dickinson's employees prior to the importation. My recollection that he had some personal contact with Dickinson regarding the importation. Do you know or are you aware of whether he, with Robert Kenny, in fact met John Dickinson after the offload in an attempt to obtain some money for payment? My recollection of the interview report is that he did meet Dickinson after the importation, discussed the fee, and then, not long after that, Dickinson was arrested and was in prison, and Kenny did no longer have contact with him. In connection with not this case, another offense. Any questions of this agent concerning this particular matter? A juror. Is he still incarcerated? Witness. Frankly, I'm not sure. I believe he is, but I'm not sure whether he is still in jail or not. Hasn't been determined. I guess after you left last time, isn't that the one where the ship came in? This case, yes. Here's the one where the hashish was actually imported. Juror. Who got the ship? The Mary Anno, as I recall, was the ship involved, and my recollection is that it was sold either after the incident or shortly after that. But the United States didn't get the ship? No. That's the one that got away? Yes. On the captain, any money confiscated, like them guys get paid so much? No, not in this particular incident. This is a successful importation and reasonably successful distribution of the hashish. Any other questions of this particular officer? If not, thank you. Certificate. I hereby certify that the foregoing 6 pages is a true and accurate transcript of my stenographic notes of the testimony of Michael Cunniff, taken on April 9, 1986, in the matter of John Dickinson and John Kavanaugh. Signed, Rosemarie Symistruck, Grand Jury Reporter.